Hi, welcome back. Today I'm going to talk about a little bit more of a progression on this piece. So we've worked a little bit on the forms of the face, the eyes, we worked on the mouth a little bit last time. One thing that I think is important to do today is to take a look at the width of the forms that you have from one side of the face to the other. I think that one problem, especially when people are first starting out with figure sculpture, is the width of forms that are on the face, and they're never quite developed to their full forms that they should be. And so I think that this is something to focus on. A good way to do that is to take a moment to choose a few key points of the face to measure. Looks like we're just a little bit off here, so I am going to add to this side. Okay. When adding clay to the face, you want to make sure to look at both sides of the face, because sometimes one side will have been built up just a little bit more than the other side. So you wouldn't want to add clay equally in this point, because what happens is then your face will continue to stay uneven. So noticing that this side was built up further, I'm adding clay to this side only. And I'll start to blend that in. And once you have that point on there, you notice that it isn't exactly meshing with what's around it, so you may need to fill in the areas around it with some clay. Another point I'm going to check is just not the very back of the jaw yet, but right here. That actually looks to be good. Looking at it here, it's built up a little unevenly, so I'm going to add some clay here and just push down this side just a little bit. When you get to the end stages of making a figure or a portrait in general, what happens is you're adding so much less clay than you are in the beginning. People have a tendency at this stage to still put on large chunks of clay and remove large chunks of clay, but you want to make sure that everything is going on very slowly, little tiny pieces, removing tiny pieces, making sure that you're not doing anything too dramatic at this point. The other thing that I want to measure is right here at the point, the back of the head, just before the ears start, to double check that. You may have to go into your clay just a little bit. Mine was a little on the thicker side, so I'm just gonna remove some of that. I'm not going to go too nuts because we will put ears here. Ears. So this is one of the things that people can do a whole sculpture without thinking about ears, and some people get to a point very quickly where they feel like they need them to make any sort of decision. So when you're lining up your ears, it's a great idea to take your tool, and ears generally with most people tend to line up between the nose and the brow. And so when you're looking, you want to draw a line across from your brow. You want to draw a line across from your nose and draw a line here. So then as I go around to the other side of the head, I put this piece here so I can make sure that I'm lining up my center line here so that I can get a good placement. And so similarly, I'm going to come all the way around here, and then same the nose, so coming around here. And I will check around the back of the head to make sure that they line up, especially since I don't have much going on back here right now. And so that should give you a pretty good idea of where you want to put your ears. Now, the way I like to approach ears is to make two little cookies, I call them. Ears are just like anything else. You want to do them both at the same time, or what will happen is you'll have one that looks one way and one that looks another. So I generally like to get two pieces of clay and I push them out into little flat pieces, and I will get myself a rough ear shape. So I want to make sure that it fits within this parameter, so I will trim it as need be before I start to get too much into the shape. And so obviously when you're working from a model, you want to take a photograph of their ear so you have an idea of what you're working with there. And so my ears, we'll say, are just sort of this shape. So then I'll take my other piece of clay and I'll push them up against one another, making sure to get this shape, and then I'll trim away any excess. And so you want to think about opening them up like a book so that they match one another this way, because when you put them on, you want to make sure that they are the same, but obviously they're going to be facing opposite directions. So, nope, too far forward. Something right about there should be okay. So I'm going to scratch this up a little bit. You would want to squirt this with some water. I have left my spray bottle downstairs, so I'm just going to be pushing them on here. You'll want to leave a little space behind the ear just to mimic the placement off. You can actually put a little roll of clay back there as well. We can play around with this edge, but for now the idea is that you're blending this in to the face here. And ears are one of those things that you want to have them come out just a little bit. That looks too high to me, so I'm actually gonna lower it a little bit. You want to have them come out just a bit, but not too much, or it's going to start to look strange. So one thing that you can do before you get along to the other side is take a look at the ear itself, and you want to draw the lines of what you're seeing with the forms here. Ears are one of those things that are deceptively complicated, and I feel like once people really start to look at an ear, they then have an idea of like, oh, okay, this is more than I was thinking it was. And so I like to make sure that I'm identifying all of the forms here just by drawing them out. You'll have some negative space here behind the tragus, and so you'll want to start to dig that out. And again, I'm just going quite rough here just to get an idea. So I'm not going to really go any more than that at this moment. So before I take this ear over to the other side, I want to essentially mirror what I have done on this side. And I'm not going to go too crazy digging it out at this moment, but I am going to just make a note of where those things are occurring. So then I'll take it over to this side, and I want to make sure that I'm lining it up. So before I attach it, I will move it to the proper place. And once it's on there, you can always adjust how far it comes out just a bit. You don't want to do any major surgery after it's on there, but the idea is that you're doing a bit of this, I don't know, sounds good. So you're going to blend this in, and then you will start to refine it just a bit.